Alright, well this is Squire coming to you guys again with Armies of Mordor, my pinch hitter, the main man. He's like the eye of Mordor, keeping an eye on stuff, making sure it is that things are going okay in the Hex community while I was away at my brother's wedding. Excellent wedding, by the way. I would have to say it's the best Zamit wedding that I've ever been to. Tonight, we're going to be talking about some of the Hearthstone nerfs that happened a couple of weeks ago. We're trying to get to that, before it gets too stale. Player ban on the Reddit forums, the Reddit forums talking about a player ban on the main Hex forums. A bunch of the different patch stuff that's going on, the tournament server updates, PC Games N article, and we're going to do a deck doctor for the Rock League. So, you know what? Before we start, though, just tell me what you've been doing, what you've been up to lately. Armies, what have you been doing?
I haven't been up to a whole lot. I did a little bit for the VIP tournaments.
Right.
Really,
got some cards. Got some.
I didn't.
Cards?
I played in one, and I got one. I got like 2-2 is my record. I didn't do great, but I did get an alternate art of each, so that's cool.
Right.
I had a lot of family stuff in the last month or so. I went and helped my brother out, who was in a motorcycle accident.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I hope he's doing better.
Yeah, he's doing all right. He's recovering.
Yeah, that's never fun.
Yeah.
It sucks being on both sides of that. Probably more for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and head right into this. So first off, let's talk about some of the Hearthstone nerfs, and then we'll go into this, the banning. So if you guys didn't know, Hearthstone is another digital card game, kind of a big deal. They actually nerfed 2 different cards. They changed the text on the cards that were completely fully released. And this is something that's been debated a lot because, both in Hex and Hearthstone and so many other digital card games, they have the ability to do that after the fact, going back and balancing stuff. This is not something that Blizzard is new to. Like, they have been balancing and rebalancing content for a very, very long time. We saw this a lot with when you were playing the World of Warcraft game and a whole bunch of other things. They're always balancing their stuff, so it's something they're very used to. Also, the difference between that game and this game is there's really no trading in Hearthstone. You have to earn everything yourself. So I don't think it's too much of a problem in their side, but I think it's just another thing we need to highlight and say that's a big difference between Hearthstone and Hex, whereas in Hex they're only going to ban cards. So what do you think about that, Armies?
Yeah, I agree. It's really nice to know that your cards are going to do what they do when you buy them, when you're actually paying your currency for them, and they're going to retain, that power level throughout the life of the game. It keeps the price of it more stable than it otherwise would be if cards could be nerfed at a drop of a hat. Like, I know Soulforge nerfed some of their cards recently too. Not super recently, but
yeah. But did they do it after their alpha or beta, or did they do it after the cards were fully released in Soulforge? Because I know that they did that too. There were cards that were just like they were in every deck in Soulforge. I don't know. I have to go back and look. I haven't played Soulforge.
Yeah, I don't know when they officially released their game, so I couldn't say. But I know their game's been out for a long time, and they finally ended up like nerfing like Zimus the Undying, who's been in their game since the beginning or whatever.
Right. So moving on, there's on the Reddit forums I found that this has about 90 comments on it. It says, "What happened to Mock?" I guess he was someone that posted a lot on the main Reddit or on the main Hex forums. I don't actually go to the Hex forums that much. I mainly try to administer the Reddit forums, as Zubrin brought me on to do that. But basically, when you go and you look at the thread, he took a comment that Colin, one of the pillars of our community, one of the nicest guys I actually know in the community. He took what he said like out of context, and it was in such a way where you would expect like an underhanded, sleazy tabloid magazine to do it. That was the way I looked at it. I've had to deal with these type of things before. I've actually run a World of Warcraft guild, and I had a specific player that was basically being two-faced. He would be one way around me, the guild master, and he would be another way around a lot of the other players in the guild and tell them how bad they were and how much they sucked at like PvP and stuff. But around me is a perfect angel, and it took a couple of weeks actually for me to kind of like investigate and see what was really going on, and eventually I was just basically on an alt, and he berated me in guild chat for something I said about PvP. And after that, I was just like, So it went a little bit longer, and I eventually had to get rid of him. And that's, I think, what happened with this person. And in any forum sense, I mean, again, I can't control the entire internet, but I have a responsibility as a forum moderator for the Reddit forums to make sure I'm taking care of those. The Hex people that take care of the Hex forums, their main forums, they also have the same responsibility to make sure that people that are just negative, that there's not a lot coming out of them that's like positive. I think that was a good choice to make. However, there are people on the other side of the coin that said that this guy gave, even though he was a little bit crass, he did give some constructive criticism, or maybe he just didn't have it come across in the best constructive way. It came across in a crass way, I guess. So, to each his own, but I mean, the comment that he made that I believe was Corey, the president of the company, banned him for, I was like, that comment alone was not good. So you can look it up yourself. I'm not going to go over it in too much detail. Armies, what did you think about this? Or you took a look at it. You've just seen it. I've just shown it to you. So what are your initial thoughts on it?
My initial thoughts are it's really, really bad to quote one like 4 or 5 word part of an entire paragraph of text. Like that's just silly. Like he was totally talking about like how the game was going, and he was making an argument based on this and that, and he just took the 3 or 4 words in one sentence that
right.
sound terrible if you say it only by itself.
Right.
So.
Exactly. And that's pretty much what I saw there. So, don't really appreciate that. I missed a lot of patches because I was at the wedding this past week, so we're just going to try to breeze over these. I'm sorry if you guys have already read these, but this is what I pulled from them. So we had, I don't think this was, I believe the other one that we just had was the King Gabriel patch, but this one has King Gabriel on it. Anyways, this is basically the interface patch where we got all the new stuff. The biggest one on here is trading. Now I can actually do some giveaways and like give people stuff away. Yay for all my people in the channel, right? You guys are going to get some giveaways right after the show. It's going to be really awesome. So yeah, and then people with multiple accounts can now trade between accounts and then fill things out. You get your brother into the game. You can now just give him, hey, here's a full common collection that I have just laying around. I think it's just a really good thing, a really good step forward. We finally have trade by mail. Armies, anything to add to that? I mean, how excited are you about trading?
As someone who has multiple accounts, it was very nice to be able to move the cards that I had extras of to one account, or the ones that I was missing to another account, and like get the ability to build decks that I want to build on each of my accounts. And it isn't full-blown trading. Don't take it out of context. It's just mailing cards to people.
I don't think that we need like online trading. I think trade by mail is perfectly fine, and I think that's good.
The problem is there isn't an escrow system in the mail yet. I think it's fine like once there's a way where you can put like
money on it.
You can have this, and this, and I want this, and this, which is what you agreed to in the chat before or whatever. Right now, it's only one way.
Right.
So you have to make like a Reddit cards. Trading account or whatever, and get thumbs up. People.
Yeah, it's
get
not transactions.
karma trades or whatever it is that people do to up their.
It's a one way. I'm giving you this card. You hopefully will give me that card. Yeah. So yeah,
I know
in that way,
we'll get 2-way trading eventually, I'm sure. But this was definitely very nice. I know that some people like Infamous Neo and Cyrus have huge long lists of people that had stuff to give away to people. So
yeah, I'm not sure if John's caught up on all of the payments for the Hex CCG Pro store either. I mean, he has a lot of stuff that he had to give out that we sold like months ago. I mean, most of the staples were sold out. I know that. So moving on, there's a lot of interface and sound updates. You guys can read through them yourself. It just basically makes the game feel and sound better. A lot of sound updates were like sounds were there and then they weren't there, and interface like with the old client, there was a lot of problems. But it seems like most of that stuff is working. I can't say for sure because I only spent maybe an hour playing with the new client. But everything seems to be pretty good. I do know that there are some bugs though. So anything on the interface there?
I just want to say I really like the addition of the skip priority until your opponent's combat step or the end step.
Right.
Those are really nice changes. I like the card manager seems to move a lot more smoothly now. And the overall gameplay, I think, has sped up because of like the pass priority button. So like getting timed out is not as likely to happen even
Right.
in longer games. So I think it's all great changes. Obviously, with every new patch, there's new bugs that come around, but they'll
Right.
get squashed eventually, and it'll
Right.
all be good.
Yeah, custom stops are still not working properly, according to another thread that I read. I'm pretty sure that they're still not working. They weren't working in the last client either. However, if you use F5, I believe it is, F5 will skip you to your combat step, which is important because a lot of times you don't want to play stuff in your first main phase anyways. And then F8 says basically seed all actions until the end of the turn, which is really good because that will help you save a lot of clock time.
I
Clock
use that
time
button
can be
a lot.
very, yeah. Oh yeah. Like clock time can be very important. Now, on the flip side, if you have resources up and you want to do some bluffing with your opponent, it can still be valuable to pass every priority, and to sit on certain priorities at certain times. Like maybe you sit on somebody's end step with nothing in your hand to actually cast, just trying to bluff them out a little bit, or maybe sit on a combat step like right before, right after declare defenders and then cast spells. If you sit on that step, you could bluff that you have like a wild growth, right? Wild growth, yeah, +3/+3. You could bluff that, for instance. So even though these buttons are in play and they're very important for saving you time, like when you have an empty hand or you're out of resources, it's still useful to not necessarily always skip steps. So moving on, the two new starter trials have been added. So for a new player, this is going to help out. So you have these new starter trials, which are going to give you more packs, I guess, and some gold and stuff. So that's going to help out a lot. I did see a thread on that on the Reddit forums where people were asking people to please post some commons and uncommons for gold and not just platinum. And that would be a good thing because people are probably much more likely to buy things for gold than platinum. However, on the flip side of that, gold is only used for rolling up chests. We don't have any other use for it, and it's kind of a commodity that's a little bit more difficult to get than platinum right now because there's no PvE to grind. So what do you think about that?
I have not sold any cards at all for gold at all. I've sold hundreds of commons and uncommons for plat. It just isn't worth my time to sell them for gold. Which
Right.
is like, I know
That's
that
because you're
plat
heartless, though, right?
well,
Right.
I'm heartless and I have
Right.
thousands of extra commons and uncommons, so it would take
Well,
way too
also
much
we can't
effort to list them for
post
gold.
like a 4 of a kind. Like if I could post a 4 of a kind for like, I don't know, like 100 gold or something, like that would be nice. We still can't do that to the auction house, but I'm sure that's coming. That's in the works. That's probably a third priority type of thing.
Yeah, it would be nice to have a buy ask like quantity type deal.
Right. Next, there's the 1-year extension of VIP is available to players. It's only available for the next 7 days. I believe that's still going on because this was September 30th, so you guys have another 2 or 3 days to actually get your 1 year of VIP if you want that. And I believe that's 1 pack a week for $2 for a year. So that's what it works out to, right?
It's actually better than that because it's 52 weeks in a year. So it's $48 for 52 packs.
Oh, wow, okay. So that's not too bad. And then on
Plus
top of that, it
your
gives you
12
access
VIP
to the
tickets. Yeah.
Yeah, you get tickets to play the VIP tournaments. this Hex Shumway is saying it's not worth it. I mean, it sort of is, because like you're getting discounted packs, but then again, there are
Even
much cheaper packs on the auction house. So you're right.
even if you sell every single pack you get from the VIP for plat on the auction
Yeah,
house,
it's
the current
debatable.
prices, you will make more by buying the VIP over the long run and selling each pack you get
Right. Which is the
than
whole
you will.
reason why it is. That's the whole reason why the VIP program had to go away, is because we didn't want $1 packs to make, 80-cent auction house packs, because that's just too. People gotta feed their families. Let's just be real about that. So yeah, if hop on that train if you're into that. Also, do you need to do the VIP to do the tournaments? I'm not sure about
Yes,
that. Okay,
you
so
have you have to have VIP entry tickets to play in the VIP tournaments. So
okay,
that's the only way you can get alternate art cards.
right,
And
okay.
I
So I've
haven't
already
looked at the
missed out on mine.
prices, but I no, because the tickets don't expire.
Oh, okay,
Well, they'll start expiring this month. Any of the ones that you've earned previously, like if you were like me, I think in April, whenever they had VIP in the store, I bought a year on one of my accounts.
right,
So I've got like 6 tickets from that plus one from the VIP, and I've used one. So I've got 6 left that don't expire, and I've got one on my other account because I was a Kickstarter. So I've got a bunch of non-expiring tickets, but the new ones that we get will expire the month that you get them. So you'll have to use them this month.
right. So beyond that, there's a bunch of other more like UI type stuff, social stuff, audio, patcher, gameplay. These are a bunch of problems that they've patched. Hopefully, tried to fix them. I didn't really see anything that was crazy. I haven't been on in a while, so I kind of took a break after the last tournament. I do see that Hex Shumway is saying that packs are 135, which is like $1.35 American. Corey did talk about that in an interview we're going to talk about later, where he says that's probably going to increase later. Only other thing is, I saw a thread where people were talking about some resolution problems. Like, I personally run my client at the 1920 by 1080. That's what I run my stuff, and because of that, apparently the cards are much larger than they are at a lower resolution. I haven't tried this out yet, so if you're having the same problems like that where your cards are just too large, you could try turning your resolution down, and that might help things out quite a bit. This stuff's going to go real quick, fast and furious here. Basically, new downloader patcher. If you haven't been playing on the game in a while, get your new patcher. Pretty simple. Not too much else to say on that one. This one, they fixed a couple more bugs. These were some interesting ones, like 2 shards being played in one turn, some stuff like that. Some other problems. They're basically just some more patching stuff here. Some more status stuff. Then this one is talking about how there were some tournament issues. Like, we did get the tournaments off for the VIP tournaments, and then I guess now they've been shut down.
Well,
So,
the VIP tournaments were before this patch.
oh yeah, with the last. Okay, so they've recently shut off the tournaments. However, they did make like, you will keep your tickets. So like for me, I get a ticket a week to play drafts. That I'm going to get non-expiring tickets now for these weeks while it is that tournaments are down. So it's not a big deal. I can basically get to those drafts later.
I think
With
they said they
non-expiring.
were extending their expiration by 2 weeks, not
Oh,
making it so
okay.
they didn't expire at all.
Oh, okay.
But I imagine if the tournaments aren't back up
Well
by
then,
that, like by a certain
oh
amount of
yeah, it
time,
says
that they'll
2 weeks.
extend them further again. But
Yeah,
I imagine they'll be back up.
sure,
I'm sure
sure.
that's a priority of theirs to get the
Oh yeah, yeah.
tournaments
That's how they
back
make the
up.
money. They host tournaments. They want to really encourage people to play these tournaments. I bet. Moving on. So the other hex update, the Patch King Gabriel talks about some of the VIP tournaments, and then we get this wonderful, lovely new living totem alternate art, which is going to be awesome. So a couple of weeks ago, there was some people that may have been a little bit perturbed about some of the collector tier players getting alternate art that wasn't that great. This living totem should make things all better, in my opinion. I mean, living totem is definitely a very powerful card. It's seeing a lot of play in the blood diamond control, and it's a staple for that deck, so it's going to see a lot of play. I think that those collector tier players that are also competitive players are going to really appreciate this. What do you think?
Not to mention that the art is just amazing. So, thumbs up to the art team for this living totem. Like, I want this. I'm not a collector tier. I would want to buy this. Like, the art alone makes me want to buy this.
And this is another thing where, like, collector tiers, let's say you're a collector, but like maybe you have multiple collector tiers or something. Like, you could sell this off if you're not a competitive player, and competitive players are going to want this in their deck, and that helps you maybe play like some drafts or something. We've seen cards go, alternate art cards go for up to $50 American on the auction house, so it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and this one is more exclusive than those, I would think, too. So this could even be even higher value card than those.
Well, the one that came out of the chest, I think that was the one that was the most expensive.
No, the $50 one is the Ozawa.
Well, yeah, it was Ozawa. Yeah,
2013.
Yeah.
But that one, theoretically, we should be able to earn online at some point during one of their like events that they have during a Gen Con. That's what they said. They said that the only thing that would be exclusive to the cons would be sleeves. That way, if you played during like a certain time window, like during the event, you should be able to earn,
which wouldn't be possible
promo
during that time because the 2013 there wasn't any client. So
yeah, so I believe that's what they said. I believe you could find it on the forum somewhere. I can't link you to it or anything, but I'm pretty sure that for all the Gen Con promos, for all the foreign people and all the people who can't afford to fly to every con to get all the alternate art cards from the cons, that we were supposed to be able to earn them in-game at some point.
All right, so moving on. We've got the How Hex Has Evolved on its way to beta. This is done by PC Games N. I think that's how I pronounce this. PC Games N or N PC Games. Anyways, they just kind of talk about like some of the alpha process, the beta process. We pretty much, if you've been there from the beginning, you probably know all this stuff already, so I'm not going to bore you with it. The only thing that was really super interesting to me is, because he's talking to Corey Jones, is very, very bottom here. He talks about set creation and how it is that what they do is they go and they test it out in paper form first to make sure it is that things are balanced, and then once they feel like things are in a good spot, they take it over and they code it. And they say typically our sets are 80% are pretty easy to code, 10% are hard, the next 5 are very hard, and then the last 5 are like, holy shit, this is difficult. So, and they even have to change like the whole interface to get them to work. And that's something that's definitely we're seeing it hold up production, where it is that obviously like a vanilla troop that just like has flying or something is pretty easy to code because that's just in there, but something with a new special ability, that's going to make things somewhat more difficult. Usually things with like triggers that go on the stack, usually that's, or on the chain, as it were. That's where it is that they seem to run into trouble. So Armies, you had some interesting insight on this one, I believe.
Yeah, like there were some set 1 cards that we were theoretically going to get before they released the full spoil that were probably in this 5% of we need to create new tools in order to implement them, like the mind games where you had to choose 5 or 10 and your opponent had to choose which one you chose, or they would take the other to the face, and if they chose right, you would take it to the face. Or the Alabaster Sphinx, where you would choose a creature in your graveyard every turn, and your opponent would guess which one you chose. And if they guessed it right, they would get it put into play under their control. If they guessed it wrong, you would get it in play under your control. There was the General's Intent, which had like 3 modes, like Assassination and a few other things. I'm guessing the things that had like multiple options like that, they had trouble getting it to code, so we might see them come back in a future set, but when they've implemented the tools they need to maybe put in other cards that aren't quite so difficult to code, but once the tools are there, it makes it easier for other cards like these to be implemented.
Yeah. So we're gonna do a Rock League deck tonight, and so what that means is I believe we get 4 uncommons to spend, and all the rest have to be commons. Is that right? Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so we also have one of the champions, Bertram the Brigand, is banned. And is there anything else banned in this league?
Nope.
I don't think so, right? So my immediate thought is Wild, because I've done a deck like this before with Mono Sapphire, so I don't want to really do that. I want to hear from you guys though in the channel. Like, let me know what it is that you want to see, and I know it's going to be about a 30-second delay, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about next week's episode while it is that you guys give me what you want to see us build this week. Next week, I'm going to have on my very first female on the show. I'm pretty excited about it. You should be too. It's going to be Sprinkles, or Els. I'm sure she'll tell me how to pronounce her name, but she's coming on the show. She's another streamer. She does stream Hex a little bit. You guys should make sure to get out there. I think I'm going to go ahead and give away. I have an extra Angel to give away, Angel of Dawn. So I think I'll give away one of those. I think tonight what we'll do is we'll probably give away 2 draft packs. So that's going to be 6 packs. I'll give away 3 to a person and 3 to another person. But yeah, let me know what it is that you guys want to see. I'm seeing orcs. Orcs seem pretty obvious to Boulder MG. That's what he wants to see. Armies, tell me what you would play in the Rock League. Like, I haven't really even played.
I can tell you what I have played in the Rock League. I've played the same deck in all. I've played 7 games so far. I need to play 2 more this week to finish off this week. The first week I went 3-0, which was cool, but I did not done quite so well. I play a Wild Diamond Spellshield deck, where I use Skirmisher, and I use 2 Skirmishers and 2 Forgotten Lords, and I use 2 Effigies with the Spellshield gem. So I have 4 socketable minor Spellshields and 2 5-drop Spellshields. Right. And then I just use like Noble Citizenries, Wild Growths, Wild Auras, things like that to just pump my guys bigger than theirs and swing through with Crush. And I also play Captain of the Dragon Guard, so that if I ever have to unfavorably get double blocked on my guy, I can just put it back on top of my deck. It worked okay, but the deck that I've lost to twice is a Wild Ruby Spellshield deck, which
Spellshield seems to be huge in this league. I keep hearing about
Spellshield. Nothing kills Spellshield. There's nothing common. Well, there's no target player sacrifices a troop or anything like that.
Right, right.
There's nothing in the format that can kill a Spellshield troop besides combat. So that's why it's so powerful. So the deck that I've lost to is the 1/2 flyer with Spellshield when you have triple wild. And they play that with Inside Fury, and they give it Rage 2, and they give it they also play Boulder Brutes. So it's very, very aggro. It's hard to race. I have taken games off of them because I have been able to go turn 3 Skirmisher, turn 4 Wild Aura, give it Life Drain because I play Dimmid. So I have beaten the deck a few rounds, but I haven't actually beaten it in a match because it is a very difficult deck to beat.
Right.
Because my deck doesn't deal with flyers very well. There's nothing in it that flies, and you can't deal with Spellshield like my Repels, my Inner Conflicts.
And you don't get reserves, right? In these matches, it's best of 3.
No, you don't get any reserves. And again, there's not really anything you can do against Spellshield, so that's why a lot of the decks play Spellshield. Like I played against a Blood Diamond Spellshield deck, which was similar to my Wild Diamond Spellshield deck, but instead of playing Dimmid, it played Zared, and it played Blood Aura instead of Wild Aura, and it's still
so Wild is kind of a big deal just because of the Spellshield. Like everyone's splashing Wild just for that Spellshield gem. Is that what's happening?
No, this was a Blood Diamond Spellshield deck that someone else played against me, but they still use Forgotten Lord. So pretty much the Spellshield cards are either Forgotten Lord, Boulder Brute, Skirmisher is one that I use. You could also use Effigy. I have Effigies in the deck because the unblockable cards like Gem Crazy Berserker could be a problem for my deck, so I play 8 artifact troops to be able to block them if I need to.
Yeah, it feels like the best way to deal with Spellshield is probably with combat tricks that pump your dudes.
Yeah, that's why I play 4 Wild Growths in mine.
Yeah.
And 4 Wild Auras as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. That might be really good. So, are we in wild, do you think, or do you think we should go with... We have so much time to build this deck. I mean, we got 30 minutes, so...
Let's see.
Should we
Artifact
go
deck seems
wild?
solid, but Bertram is banned, so sorry, that's not going to happen.
They're saying Volcan is still good, and I think so, too. I believe
I mean, you could
Boulder,
try a
Energy...
Volcanon deck, but if you do Volcanon, then you can't have any of the other uncommons that make artifacts really good, like Elimination Specialist or Research Librarian or
Could put together the
Technical
Mono Ruby.
Genius.
The thing is, you don't get access to any Spellshield. You just have to basically come in underneath them.
Yeah, I don't think Mono Ruby's very good in this format because, I mean, I know that there's a lot of commons, but the format seems very slow, which is, like, you would think that that's an improvement for Mono Ruby, but the
Get
fact
Crushing
is that
Blow.
everyone is playing, like, senseis that block pretty much all your one toughness dudes, and you have to blow a combat trick to get past it, or they're playing just big dudes like Boulder Brute that are impossible for you to get past. Swiftstrike could be pretty good. I think Swiftstrike would probably be better
Just only looking
than
to
people
set one
give it credit
card.
for.
That would be good. I think I like Corrupt Harvester.
Yeah,
Maybe
I've
we
seen
should
a
go...
lot of Corrupt
What do
Harvester
you think?
too.
You want? Let's go Blood
Was
Wild, I think.
it wasn't able to race my life drain skirmishers though. Like it has good value to it, but a lot of the people are playing Repel and Interconflict and Murder, so it's not as good of a threat as a Spellshield troop, in my opinion. Even with the 4 extra copies you get from having
Swift
Howling
Strike's
Brave
really good.
deck.
Yeah, someone's asking about Swift Strike. Swift Strike's just another combat trick. It's really good. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, the
We should probably just start with our uncommon.
Ruby Wild Spellshield deck
Quite
is
honestly.
also plays the Ruby Aura, so it's really difficult
Let's
to
just look
deal
at
with it with their
uncommons here.
threats.
That's what we'll do. We'll start off with that. Let's look at uncommons first. So Corrupt Harvester, you're saying you're not really a big fan. It's pretty good, but you're feeling like it's kind of a tier 2.
I've beaten every Corrupt Harvester deck with my Spellshield deck. The problem is it's a turn 4 play, and it's very, very slow. And a lot of the decks are like mine. They play Artifact Troops, so it's not like it's impossible to block it. So I don't think Corrupt Harvester is the best.
And you're saying Skirmisher is pretty good, though, which is, to be expected. I mean, you throw some Swiftstrike on it or something.
I mean, I'm pretty biased towards Skirmisher because in a streamer tournament, I played the Skirmisher deck, the Spellshield Skirmisher deck, where all I did was just pump a Skirmisher, and I was able to beat a lot of other streamers in the streamer tournament with it. It's highly underrated. I'm surprised we haven't seen a more resurgence of that deck, especially with the Mono Sapphire deck. Like, they have a lot of bounce, but they don't have any way to interact with it aside from Brawl later in the game. They can't bounce it, they can't time ripple it, and it's really hard for them to block it once you start giving it wild auras and things like that. It's just all their troops are like 2/2s, so if you get a 4/3 that becomes a 5/6.
Right. Zomnivore's talking about Wild Blood with Hydra, Call of the Grave. I mean, that's pretty decent too.
Hydras are rare.
But you've got Hydras are rare. Yeah, no, you're right. Forgotten Lord, of course, here. You just gotta pump him. I mean, he's a 3/4 body. I really like the idea of having of mono wild with what do you call it? With honeycaps though. Even though he doesn't have spell shield.
I played against that deck. It was I wouldn't say easy. It's very hard for mono wild to race you as long as you can deal with the honeycaps. Like the deck, when I played against the honeycaps, I had inner conflict for the honeycap, and it was like whatever. And so the honeycaps have a problem. Like you can't even play like Manti Elder Druid to like revert them because they just die. So it's kind of like it's like inner conflict's really, really good against honeycap.
Pheromone seems like good counter tech though for a lot of the spell shield stuff that's out there too.
Well, it could be, but the issue with that is that it is only good on one turn, and that's the turn before they attack with their spell shield guy. Once they start swinging, it can never block. So
yeah.
And Pheromones isn't exactly like a game-winning card in most
Oh,
of these matchups. It's removal,
it can
but
be.
you're,
Well, because
but
like
you're,
you
you're
put it on
uncommon.
like you put it on something tiny and then you swing through with the rest. You know.
Well, okay, but again, like the uncommons that people are playing are generally like game-ending cards, like threats that can win the game. Whereas this is kind of like a cute trick.
What
I
about
don't really
Aeronaut?
think it's
What do you
necessary.
do? You like Aeronaut at all? I kind of like Aeronaut in one of these
I
decks.
think I think Aeronaut is a bit expensive. I think a 5-drop 3/2 flyer is just kind of
You get a spell
slow.
shield, just like everything else with Wild.
You could, but you can only have 4 Spellshield gems
I
total.
know, I
I,
know.
I'd rather put the
Put them
Spellshield
on,
gem in a 4/4 body on the ground in
or a
Boulder Brute,
Skirmisher.
or put it in Skirmisher where you've got a 2/1 that can at least accelerate into being a 7/5 or something later in the game. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and let's go with the 2 Skirmishers. We're gonna spell shield these, I think, and then I think I'm gonna do like 1 Aeronaut and then 1 Boulder Brood. What do you think about that? We'll go Wild and Diamond. What do you think?
The other interesting deck, I think, would be an Arc.
We also get Forgotten Lord on the ground too. So actually, we could play two of these. We could play two of these like Phoenix Guard Aeronauts. Something just happened. Did I just lose him? I think I might have just lost him. Here, I'm gonna call him back. There's a problem with the call. Here, hold on. We're gonna video call him back.
We back.
Still waiting for. I don't have any keys for you, Ordum. I'm really sorry. Yeah, technical difficulties. He's back. Uh, so I'm really sorry. Do we do tournament casting? We have just finished up the Hex CCG Pro tournament that just finished up. So I tournament cast all of my own games. I don't actually do any what do you call it play by plays of other people's games. At least not yet.
If you're asking if I would be willing to for some tournament you're planning on throwing, yes, I'd be willing to shoutcast for you.
Yeah,
But
I
I
could probably work
currently
that out
haven't
depending on the
shoutcasted
timing.
any tournaments myself. No,
Yeah.
but I'd be willing to.
So I think I do want to play pheromones in here. Although that's an uncommon. Oh, we can't. I'm not gonna. That's not. I'm not gonna waste an uncommon slot on that. Oh wait. Oh, I put too many. Forgotten Lord is an uncommon too. Man, uncommons.
I know that's what
It makes it so hard.
I play a 2/2 split of the Skirmisher and the Forgotten Lord because I didn't want to be all in on a 2/1 body. I wanted to
Yeah.
have some way to block later in the game.
Okay.
But if I did get the Skirmisher out early, it was definitely able to close games quickly, which is why I liked having a 2/2 split. But if
Okay.
you
So
do
before we finish
if you
this
do
deck
end up
up,
going for 4 Forgotten Lords, you do get the added benefit of being able to play 4 Boulder Brutes.
Zomnivore is asking anything interesting you can do with Blood Sapphire Orcs. Now you're gonna lose out on the spell shield. You're not gonna have any spell shield. I mean, you can play in Diamond. There's a card that counters a card that targets your guy, but that's like a 1-turn spell shield as a combat
if you
trick.
were gonna play Blood Sapphire Orcs, if you wanted Spell Shield, you'd have to play Arcane Shield as your uncommon, which I don't know if I like that idea very much.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is, like Sapphire doesn't have a lot of orcs, so
Sapphire doesn't
that's
have
my
any orcs.
that's yeah
It would
that's my
basically
problem
it would
there
basically
with
be
that.
Blood Orcs with flying gems
Right.
and Spell Shield for
You're
the
trying to play a lot of rage stuff. I would say it's more like Blood Sapphire rage stuff. So you would probably play like Thunderbird,
Thunderbird, Shame Gladiator.
and you definitely play your play set of Buccaneer and stuff like that. You'd probably play a lot of tempo type stuff, which is all target based stuff, which is the problem because there's going to be a lot of things out there that are untargetable because that's what the meta is doing in this format without rares and only
Now,
4 uncommons.
the other potentially interesting deck that I haven't tried would be a stall deck where your uncommon is like 4 Flock of Seagulls.
Okay, so these are the uncommons we decided to go with, so we can spell shield them up. The 2 skirmishers, the Phoenix Guard Aeronaut, and then the Forgotten Lord. That's what we decided to go with. So let's go ahead and move on to our commons here. So again, we're using the Hex CCG browser and deck builder. I recommend it for people to build stuff. They don't have a limit on decks that you can build in it yet. Bogdan is very serious about keeping this thing up to date. He's actually a Romanian. He came on the show, I don't remember, quite a few episodes ago. But yeah, really nice guy. He's just trying to make sure that he can serve the community, and maybe eventually, like, you know, if you got a couple extra bucks, throw him his way so we can get some beer money. Right there, beer money button. Server's better today? I don't know. I just logged in to see what I could give away to people, and I figured, you know what, I'll make it easy and just give away some packs. We also need to decide on what champion we're going to be running. We got about 19 minutes to get this deck together before we end the episode, and then again after the episode we will be plenty of time. After the episode we will be giving away 2 draft packs, and that means I'm going to give you 3 packs. I'm going to give 2 people 3 packs. I won't give you your entry fees because it's like there's no way for me to do that. But I will give you 3 packs, and you can spend $1 and get your own entry fee. Okay, so that's
you can't actually send Plaid if you were that generous.
Oh, I can. I'm gonna opt not to. That's my option. I'm gonna opt not to. Let's see. What champion do we want to run?
I'm going to end the call real quick and call you back because I think the connection's kind of bad.
It's getting screwy. So I think what I would like to do is we're gonna do the champion that Kishimoto, I believe is his name. Let's see. Let's look at champions here. Kishimoto. Basically, he gives your guy temporary +2/+2. With these Spellshield troops, you can do that and not have to worry too much about them. Oh, we get to run all the Boulder Brutes. We can run a playset of Boulder Brute in here too. So I guess we'll throw those. I don't know that we want to run that many Honeycap, if we want to run Honeycap at all. Of course, we'll run the playset of Inner Conflict. I mean, that's kind of obvious. It's really good removal, and we'll probably run a playset of Repel as well. The only thing about, I mean, we are kind of a slower deck running this, so Repel should be perfectly fine. The Senseis to cantrip us through the deck, give us some blocking bodies. Briar Legion seems like a pretty good choice for this deck as well. I should probably step aside and let Armies talk a little bit. I'm just kind of throwing things in the deck, and then I usually pare it down is what I do.
Yeah, I'm not too big on Briar Legion. The deck doesn't have a lot of ways to take advantage of Briar Legion. There's no way to like bounce it back to your hand or replay it. There's no card draw really. Like, I'm not very much sold on Briar Legion myself for this format. I think it's kind of slow.
You may want to.
We can have Swiftstrike Boulder Brutes. We don't necessarily have to have Spellshield Boulder Brutes.
Running a single Reversion would be some pretty interesting tech for the deck, I think.
I think the main issue with Reversion in this format is that the main things that you would want to be able to revert are going to have Spellshield.
Well, sure, a lot of times they will, but sometimes they're going to have to use it on other stuff too. So, I mean, it's up to you. What do you want? I mean, you could also run a singleton like Nature Reigns in this deck, depending on your spacing. Skyle Griffin seems pretty interesting in this deck too. I mean, we've got a lot of 4-drops already, though. Elliot! That's my son, everybody. Yelling at me from the background.
Also,
you want Despicable Me graham crackers? Go ask mommy.
Is actually quite good for this kind of deck too. It puts on a lot of early pressure.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Yeah, I do like that as well. Yep, my son's going to find his cup so he can have Despicable Me graham crackers in his cup. I should start advertising for Despicable Me graham crackers. Alright, we're at 51 cards now, so I think we pretty much almost have every card we can possibly put into the deck, and we don't have any resources yet, so we'll go ahead and dump those in here. I don't think it's showing them to me. No, it's not. So I gotta turn some filters off here. What did you think about Kishimoto? That's the one that gives your guy temporary +2/+2.
If you're trying to race or trying to push through a guy, it could be okay. I myself played Dimmid in my version because I felt that the life gain was more relevant to the format. I think the games are very much like being able to game for life a turn for like 3 turns in a row. It's pretty significant to help you race other decks. But Kishimoto has some nice synergy if you're playing Skirmisher with Wild Aura and you just want to push through more damage. So it just depends if you want to win the race by gaining life or by potentially dealing more damage. But it might not be. It might just be forcing a jump or something. But that's still relevant too. It's a matter of your play style, which you would rather play.
Yeah, I think Kishimoto is definitely screaming that he wants to be played. If it is a he? He wants to be played in more of like an aggro, like mono wild aggro deck. Not really this deck, so we'll probably go with the Dimmid.
I think he's gonna be. If you're playing like feral ogres and things with crush, you'd probably make a lot more sense. But I agree. In this kind of a deck, I don't think the temporary +2/+2 would be better than, say, even permanent +1/+1 if you're even going through the
now
train.
We do have a decent amount of troops, so Manika Shin is another one that we could use in this deck, giving us that battle hopper that you can swing in with and buff. I mean, it could be a 2/3 crush when you put Wild Aura on it, although that's going to feel really bad.
Yeah, I played against the Shinhir deck. It was an interesting experience. The thing that it had trouble dealing with was I play a few Survival of the Fittest, and it's really easy to just go like, give my 4/3 Spellshield life train. Survival of the Fittest, it fights your Bucktooth commander. Now all your bunnies are worthless, and then I swing in for another 4.
If we had set 2 cards, Polonus would see a lot more play because there are a lot of set 2 cards that are common and uncommon that do give you extra charges. We saw a lot of that. However, set 2 of course isn't available, and last we heard it looks like it's going to be like right before Christmas, and sometime around Christmas is when we're going to see PvE is what it sounds like. It's tentative timelines, and that kind of goes back to some of the news.
But I haven't even heard that much.
I read it somewhere this week. I did a lot of reading. I had to catch up, so I'm really actually not sure. I can't source that for you guys, so don't take that on gospel. Go and find the source for it yourself. But that was something I read somewhere. Really sorry I don't have a source for you on that one, guys. I personally like the Briar Legion, but you're saying you don't. Let's see. I also like the fact that Briar Legion is a single threshold.
Sound again. I don't know what the issue is.
Oh, am I cutting out on you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing you breaking in and out, but I don't know about if it's on stream or not.
No, it's not. Or at least I don't think it is. No one's told me. Everyone's been very nice to me about it.
Yeah, it must be just be a very terrible connection between you and me right now or something.
We've got a terrible connection going on. This isn't the best bromance to have, just saying.
Yeah. I have a great internet connection, but for some reason it's not.
Okay, so we actually don't even need to get rid of that many cards. We need to get rid of 14 cards here if we play the 4 Shards of Fate. Everyone knows I love playing 4 Shards of Fate. I love consistency in decks. I love having a good curve. That's just who I am. So I personally like Briar Legion in this deck. I think he's a great body that has to be dealt with, because the third one you play is a 6/6. I mean, that's kind of a beefy body to have to deal with.
I just think there isn't space. Like, if you were gonna play 4 Briar Legions, like you already have so many other 3 drops and 4 drops that it's like, would you ever really want to play the Briar Legion? Would you have a Skirmisher to play instead, or Noble Citizenry to play instead? Like,
Citizenry is 4.
Yeah, I know, but if you go turn 3 Skirmisher, and then you have the option of Noble Citizenry or Briar Legion or Wild Aura, what are you gonna choose? Like, I think Briar Legion isn't the way we're trying to win the game, so I think it's probably not as relevant to some of the other cards in the deck.
Right.
If Briar Legion was like,
but I mean, like it's another 3 drop. Like if you don't draw those other things too,
That's why I like to play Effigy as my other 3 drop, because it can block the unblockable guys.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, that's definitely. Yeah, I see what you're saying there. I have Survival of Fittest in here. We don't
It's
really
bugged
have.
right now.
Oh, it's
I would just
bugged.
admit it.
All right, so
Yeah,
we'll just
I
pull it because
found
it's
out the
bugged.
hard way in one of my rock matches. I
Oh,
tried to
that's too bad.
survival of the fittest my sensei on his ruby pyromancer, and his
Yeah.
pyromancer lived and my sensei didn't. Needless to say, I lost that game.
Yeah. Another thing I think you want to be careful of, and I'm always trying to be somewhat cognizant of this, is like wild growth. If you have, for some reason, an empty board state, wild growth isn't good. However, we're in Rock League. Chances of us having an empty board state are pretty slim because there's one sweep and it just sweeps one toughness dudes, you know. So
Yeah, Spellshield, there's no way you have an empty board. This format will not allow you to have an empty board if you're playing with Spellshield.
right. I'm not sure I like the Feral Ogres just because of the double threshold. However, our 2-point, yeah, we could probably bring those. We could probably just dump those. Now, the Feral Ogre does have a spot in the Mono Wild, I think. I think he's pretty good in there.
I don't think the Ogre's quite good in the 2-killer deck myself.
Yeah, I don't think just because of the double threshold, and you need to play him on turn 2 for him to be valuable, and it's just not going to happen that often.
I think he's definitely a cuttable card.
All right, so I've got a huge 1-point range somehow. Let's see, we've got the Wild Growth.
Howling Brave, Ronin, Reversion, Wild Growth.
Yeah, I still like keeping the 1 Reversion, but I mean, we could probably cut that. I mean, that's really up to you guys. It's like a style preference, really. The Howling Brave, I like in here too. Just to
play your Skirmisher on turn 2, or if you put Effigy in the deck because of the Fear Gem or whatever, it can't be blocked by artifacts or whatever troops.
All right, hold on.
Corrupt Harvesters and Gem Crazed Berserkers.
Yeah, I think we're just gonna just pander out some of our 1-drops here. I mean, maybe 2 Ronins, because they're really good early and really bad late. Or
yeah,
I'm not, you know.
I could see that. I still would cut the Briar Legions for effigies myself. A 3/3 artifact for 3.
I'll make sure to make that comment. I'll make that comment when I post this to YouTube. And just so you guys know, like, if you are watching this on YouTube, like, the deck list is below on the comments. People always ask me where it is. It's right down there on the comments. So I'll make sure to say Briar Legion on Aaron Squire's version, Effigy on Mordor Armies version, and the Effigy would be what do you give it? +1, +1?
+1 because we've already used our Spellshield gems.
Right. Yeah.
Swiftstrike gems.
There's no flight.
Right. Plus a 3/3 body blocks Banshee and doesn't die.
Oh, Swiftstrike on Boulder Brute.
And it trades with the Corrupt Harvester. It also trades with Gem Crazed Berserker, which are 3 of the potential cards that people may be playing to try to invasion through your field.
I didn't even think about that Swiftstrike on the Boulder Brutes. I only have 1, and I took it all the way down. We could probably, if we get rid of Ronin, we could probably put some more Boulder Brood back in, I think.
Yeah, if you're playing Howling Braves, then Ronin doesn't make as much sense. It's better.
Yeah. Sorry about the screaming.
Into a 3-drop, either Effigy or Skirmisher, and potentially turn 4 Citizenry. If you need other artifacts to include, the only other one that's even remotely playable for this deck, I think, is Axebot, but that's cutting it pretty bad. I mean, I play it in my version, my Wild Diamond Spellshield, because it's another way to pump Spellshield guys with more attack, and it blocks some of the Fear guys. But you could play Sapper's Charge if you need more like damage-based removal or something. But there aren't really a lot of artifacts at the common level that are good against the format.
Yeah, well, we get a lot of better common or a lot of better artifacts once it is that we go into set 2 for sure. The set 2 artifacts are pretty good.
The meta is going to be great in set 2. So many new decks, so many new brews.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. So I think we're going to get rid of one wild aura in favor of another Boulder Brute so we can get the 2 Swift Striking. Now you can swap around these gems quite a bit. I mean, you can maybe throw Swift Strike on your Aeronaut or something, but I don't know why you would. I would think you would want that to be spell shielded because that's your evasion troop. You know, that's also your only air troop in here. If for some reason you run up against some Sapphire deck, that's going to be kind of valuable.
One thing that this deck has issues with is flight. But
Yeah.
if you can get out to an early start, you can usually stay ahead of the race with Dimmid. So it's pretty
I mean, what you could do is you could get 2 Aeronauts, or you know, just if you're that afraid of flyers, or maybe 3 Aeronauts, and then you know go down on the skirmishers, run the Boulder Brutes with a Swift Strike.
If you're really afraid of flyers, you could just play the 2/1 flyers.
Or you could
to few life that blocks most of the relevant flyers that would be troubling you early game and games. There's some life, and it's only common, so it doesn't take up your uncommon slot.
Yeah, I mean the only other thing is you could maybe one of Turbulence. Turbulence says destroy target flyer. For 2, it's a wild and 1. Or it's basically it's 2, and it has 1 wild threshold.
Yeah.
So I think the deck is pretty good like this. Again, like Reversion is like a personal choice on my side of things. I mean, I would have to really play against some people. I mean, this could be a dead card in a lot of situations, so this is a very iffy choice for me. Very much a stylized tech choice. And of course, again, Armies of Mordor changing out the Briar Legions for the Effigies. So I think we have a pretty good deck. Sorry about all the screaming tonight. I know we had some problems, some child problems in the background there. I know that's a problem. Eventually, there's a chance that we may be moving houses sometime in the future, and so hopefully that will go away, or they'll just grow up. So let's just talk about the program and talk about what we've talked about tonight, because that's what we do in speech class. So tonight on Deck Building with the Squire, we talked about some of the Hearthstone nerfs and how it is that it's never going to happen, hopefully, in Hex. They will simply ban cards instead, and just highlighting some of the differences. They have trading in Hex, whereas there will be no trading ever probably in Hearthstone, although there could be. We talked about the player ban from the forums, where it is that Corey just felt like he needed to take care of somebody, and I completely support and agree with him. We talked about some of the patch notes and how it is that there's a bunch of different updates on there, the tournament server updates, and then we got the new client, and we got trading, and things got really exciting. And of course, my son is getting super excited in the background about it. You can tell how excited he is back there. Oh, wow. And then we talked about the PC Games article, and there wasn't too much. And then we did this wonderful deck doctor where we went over, you know, how to do things. And Armies was here to like mentor me on the Rock League, because I've been out of it for like the past 2 weeks because of this wedding that I went to. And then one more thing, just highlight next week, we're going to have the very first female guest on the show. It's going to be Sprinkles, and so make sure to get out to that. I'll be giving away an Angel of Dawn, and then stick around because I'll be giving away 2 draft packs. That means I'm going to give you 3 packs of cards in game right after the show is over. We're going to raffle those off. Other than that, until next time, this is Aaron Squire signing off, saying God bless you and your families, and Armies of Mordor saying
signing off.
all right.